of the PFL. I just want to make a statement, then we'll take questions in a little bit, just like we did last week. First and foremost, PFL, we're absolutely ecstatic with how things went tonight. I think you all saw that not only is the World Tournament exciting, but it's absolutely working. Whether it's the men, whether it's the women last week, we're talking about 17 finishes out of 24 fights. That's a 70% finish rate. And I don't care what company you're talking about. I don't care what show you're talking about. That's absolutely amazing. So all the credit tonight I want to give to the fighters that showed up. In fact, on ESPN tonight, 5 fights, 5 finishes, and 6 out of 8 fights tonight. So I do want to call out a few guys before we get started. Dalton Rasta, we had a lot of young guys that coming into the fights tonight that maybe not a lot of people knew. And when you have Dalton Rasta out of American Top Team, he was absolutely a beast knocking out Sadabu C. J.J. Wilson told us yesterday, he said, I think I'm the best 155 in the world. Went out tonight and absolutely dominated Matt Burnell like we've never seen before. Alfie Davis, are you kidding me with the back elbow knockout? Godzi, our defending champion, he went out and got it done in 32 seconds. So really, as we look at 3 nights down, and the light heavyweights and the heavyweights still to come, I don't know if we actually would have scripted this, if we could have written a better script than what we've had as well. The other exciting thing about what happened today is we announced that we will have 4 Champion Series fights coming up later this year, starting in July, ending by the end of the year. We had Dakota Ditcheva in attendance tonight, Brendan Loughnane, both of them extremely excited to finally know that they're going to get a fight. We don't know who they're going to fight yet. But Dakota Ditcheva will fight. She wants to fight a couple of different times here in 2025. So as soon as we have her opponent, you guys will absolutely know that. So also at our main event, Fabian Edwards knocks out our former champion, Impa Kasanganay. So obviously a great night for the PFL, a great night for the fighters, the middleweights and the lightweights. And with that, I'll go ahead and open up to some questions.
Hi, Elle Dawson with Fight Bananas.
Hi, Elle.
So you mentioned Fabian Edwards, you mentioned Dalton Rasta. I believe both these fighters opened up as underdogs originally with the odds makers. Do you feel like some of these Bellator fighters that came over maybe were a little disrespected by the odds makers because they hadn't been seen yet in the tournament?
Clearly you watched Betting the PFL with the coach and Ian Parker this week, because that's exactly what we talked about. Here's the thing, whenever you're coming over and you're kind of merging 2 companies together with Bellator and PFL, you're going to have some odds that are just off. And that's kind of what betting is all about, is trying to find a number. And that's why Ian Parker's the best in the business. You find guys, he knows exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to get it done. So we hit tonight, just Ian on the show, a long shot parlay, first 3 fights, and a Parker's parlay, because he understood they were disrespected by the numbers. And I said in these interviews, I come in early every single week, and everybody that won tonight told me I'm being completely disrespected. And it wasn't just talk. They went out and got it done, which is absolutely fantastic. So 100%.
With that being said, some of these guys who have lost in the first round, like Sadabu C, are fantastic fighters that I think people would like to see more of. Last year, they had guaranteed 2 fights with the point system. With this new layout, do you expect to see some of these guys maybe come back to fill some of these cards later on in the season?
You know, one thing we're not going to do is have a 4-fight card. So when we get to June, whether it's Wichita, Nashville, and you remember Chicago, I think? Absolutely, 100%. That's why you've never heard this guy say, well, their year is over. Their season's over. Their tournament's over. But certainly they're not done fighting. And if they want to fight a couple more times, we got June. And then if they don't take a lot of damage, they potentially could come back in August. So 1,000%. Hopefully, a lot of the fighters who lost tonight don't think that their year is over, because certainly they are not.
You mentioned that 6 finishes tonight, 17 finishes this season. Incredible numbers. Next week we have the heavyweights coming in, 205. Do you expect the trend to continue?
I certainly hope so. I sat down with Phil Davis this week, and he's very, very excited. And he's one voice that he's noticed all the finishes from the weeks before. And here's, when you're talking about fighters and competitors, the one thing they want to do is outdo the groups ahead of them. And so I think that's what you've seen. You've seen week 1, then week 2 got better. Then tonight was absolutely phenomenal. So the one thing about heavyweights that everybody knows is that it takes 1 shot and it's over. And this is a group of 8 fighters in the heavyweight division that I think is going to shock you about how good they are. And just like tonight, you're going to see names that before the fight start, you're going to say, who's that? and then after they're done, you're going to say, oh, I know who that is now. It's going to be awesome.
Last one for me.
Yep.
We saw Fabian Edwards doing some beautiful work with his short elbows on the feet. J.J. Wilson, some nasty elbows with the ground and pound. Do you feel like PFL maybe is a little regretful that they didn't bring the elbows into the tournament sooner?
1,000%. I don't care what Don Davis or anybody else says. You heard Fabian Edwards tonight. He said we should have done this a long time ago. And I like the fact that clearly every single team that the fighters are training with, they're training with the elbows. We saw tonight, one knockout that started with an elbow, and then just so many roundhouse elbows and using them in the clinch. So I think it's one of the best decisions the PFL has ever made. And the one thing you can't do is sit there and go, oh, we didn't do this. You make a decision, you move on. If it works, great. The elbows clearly work. We'll keep doing it, and we'll make other adjustments too.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, El. Appreciate it.
Jonathan Rumlicott, 5 Bananas.
What's up, man?
How you doing? Good. You talked about last week the star-making performances about some of the fighters. Who do you think tonight had that star-making performance?
Well, I'm going to start right there at the top, Rosta. When you tell the world before you fight you're the best in the world, and then you go out there and you dominate a fighter like Sada Busi, who's very unorthodox, tall, kickboxer, you got to really kind of plan for a lot of things. He smothered him. And here's the thing about fighters, is that a lot of them just want an opportunity. And I saw 3 or 4 different voices out there tonight said, listen, I just want this opportunity. What about Alfie Davis? This is a guy, he goes in there and he knocks out Clay Collard. He said, I've been waiting for this for years and years and years for the opportunity. So when I look down at Rosta, J.J. Wilson, Alfie Davis, Gotzi's already kind of a star. Fabian Edwards is now a star to the PFL audience. I think tonight, every single fighter on the main card became a household name. Now, like I told you last week, whose job is it to now raise their level in the next 2 months? No, it's our job. They go and rest up, then we push them to the moon. That's exactly what we're going to do.
Now, you talked about the fighters just getting the opportunity to continue to build those names in the shoulder programming. Do you guys what are some of the other things you want to add on to PFL Origins to continue with things like that?
So PFL Origins let me start with this. We have a lot of new great production people here that we brought over, starting from the top down. And I think as you talk, PFL Origins, that we've got to go back to the drawing board. We got to see what stories are now. Because I'll tell you, last week a couple fighters that I did not sit down with for coaches' conversations, they walked up to me and said, now do I get to sit down? So I would say the same thing about PFL Origins is we kind of went with the guys that we knew. And then whenever you're doing a series like that, you see how things finish. And now, we've got multiple American top team fighters that won on the same card. Do you think maybe we'll go to their gym and probably do a story on all of them together? I would think so. It seems pretty easy to me. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Sometimes the storylines write themselves. So we're looking forward to that for sure.
And like you said, a couple of champions, a couple of former title challengers knocked out tonight. How much do you feel, just with everything and the momentum going on, you guys as PFL as a whole is just turning that new chapter?
It feels good. It really feels good. About 7 months ago when I came on into this new role, and we have a lot of good new people, a lot have come over from the WWE. Our digital team is absolutely amazing. Sometimes it's just about putting the right people in the right positions. And we've had 7 years of building this product, but to be frank with you, we always didn't do the right things. And now I think we all said, let's draw a line in the sand, let's tell the right stories, let's give these fighters an opportunity. And the fighters themselves are saying, listen, like I sat with them, I said, listen, if you do your job, we'll do our job. And then we work together. That's what a fight promotion is. I spent over a decade in the WWE. That's what we did every single week. You build stars one after another. It's not rocket science. It really is not. But everybody has to do their job. So I think we have, tonight you got 5 or 6 guys. I think you have the women last week, Liz Carmouche, even though she's a veteran, incredible knockout. Jenna Pitch. There's so many different storylines that now we have 2 months, and then in 2 weeks we still have 2 more divisions. So I could not be more thrilled. I know the bosses here are absolutely thrilled. I met with Don Davis earlier tonight. I've never seen him happier. I really haven't. So we're damn excited for the first. And then to grow into the Champion Series and all of that. This is just one step. And we'll do another one, and we'll do another one, and then hopefully, in the next year, then 2, then 3. It doesn't happen overnight. But we can all do this together. We damn sure will.
Thank you, Coach.
You got it. Thank you.
Dylan here with Combat Casuals.
What's up?
Next week will be the final night of these first-round tournament fights here in Orlando, Florida. How has the local reception been since the PFL has been here all month? And do you think we'll be seeing you back here later this year?
Yeah. Well, later this year, I'm not so sure because we already have the venue set for June, and I don't know where we haven't announced for August yet. But I can tell you that long term, we obviously want to continue to grow and do bigger and bigger venues. But this one is perfect for what we're doing right now, and I think you saw tonight that it was absolutely full. The energy was absolutely hyped. It helped that there was a lot of fighters from South Florida on the cards tonight. But certainly the goal long term is to move into bigger and bigger venues, but you don't do it until you're ready. And then also you do, you know, the arenas overseas for the PFL Europe and the other ones. So we'll do it right, but we want to make sure that we have things full. But I love it here, and you know, I've been going back and forth from California, and maybe next time I'll stay for the whole 3 weeks. Who knows?
Awesome, man. Now that we've had the chance to see this tournament format in action, how do you think this helps more casual fans that maybe didn't understand the point system before better connect with the PFL and interact a little bit more with this company?
That's a good question. I'm for one, I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the switch at first, because I like the opportunity to be able to lose a fight and then come back. But in talking to the fighters, I'm not fighting. You know, I'm just telling the stories and I'm announcing the fights. But I think now after I've watched it, that the fighters are being a lot more aggressive. I mean, when you have 17 finishes and 24 fights, that's pretty obvious. And when you know that your season or your tournament could be over, you start to see what fighters can handle the pressure. And I would say when the red light comes on, and TV is what we always say. So I think the tournament has been a resounding success. So now we continue the tournament, and then we have the Champion Series. So now we're talking 14, 15 events. Then you have the events overseas. So now you're getting close to 20, and that's a real sweet spot that I think we can be very proud of.
Now, last one for me.
Yep.
What's your message to fans that maybe didn't have this first leg of this tournament on their radar, considering grabbing tickets to the next leg of this tournament?
I had a guy tonight on Twitter that tweeted me, he goes, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. He goes, I've never watched the PFL before. I'm watching you right now, and I'll never miss another event. And I was like, you know, it takes one person at a time. The negativity I don't even look at, and I don't want anybody to focus on that because it's very, very easy to be negative. But I tell people all the time, come and watch the fights. And we talk about it all the time internally. We say if we have great fights, that's going to do the job for us. And then we have amazing production. We've got so many new people in the truck that you guys don't even know that came from Fox and WWE and all these great places that do amazing things. And so now the fighters even see it, and you see on TV how good it looks. So if we can continue to have great fights, have a lot of finishes, and have exciting action and events, then that's going to take care of itself. And I'm telling you right now, we could not be happier with how the first 3 weeks have gone. We couldn't be.
Thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Hi, Coach. Jim
What's
Barcelone at Miami Herald.
Yeah.
I just was curious. First, you mentioned American Top Team and so many fighters there, and Killcliff FC is also down that way with a lot of great fighters. So what is it like to have two gyms like that, all involved, a lot of PFL fighters involved from both of those gyms?
We want the best. You know, we want the absolute best. And the kind of the cool thing about what we saw tonight is there's a lot of guys that MMA fans see, the head coaches and the faces of those really elite teams that have the elite fighters that you've seen on TV for such a long period of time. To have them make the drive here, to be in the corners, to see how excited they are, to not poo-poo the event because maybe it's not some other potential company, that was awesome. And I think everybody tonight got lost in how cool every single fight got better and better and better and better. So I think now what happens is when you're talking about American Top Teams or whoever you're talking about, so now they go back and they talk to the other fighters, say, you know what, maybe we need to start thinking about the PFL. Maybe we start thinking about, because the one goal that I have, because I plan on being here to the end of my career, and the one goal I have is to have fighters start to say, when they're 20, 21 years old, you saw a lot of young fighters win tonight, right? Is how the young ones say, I want to sign with the PFL straight up. It's not about I'm at the end of my contract or I have nowhere else to go, whatever it is. I want them to come here because they see what we're putting on and what we're doing for them. And then that grows and grows and grows. So to have the top gyms in the country, it's everything. You got to have it, and we certainly had it tonight.
And last for me, and thank you, Greg, and also thank you, Coach.
You got it.
Hey, you mentioned WWE, and that's something I always, because even behind the scenes, as you mentioned, but even not in digital, all facets of PFL, you see former WWE, and WWE, of course, we know, is just a mega machine. that just makes sense. I mean, is that the mindset? It wasn't just happenstance. It was like, hey, people work for Fox or WWE.
Sure.
Let's get them on board, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the scenes.
You know what's really cool is that, you know, we can thank WWE and even UFC a little bit, because as they morph, there are so many talented people that we're looking for a place to go. And our entire digital team, you guys, I'm sure you've seen it on social media, how good the videos are, the coaches' corners, the coaches' conversations, all the cut-up videos, all of that, they're standing right over here, right here. Many of them came from the WWE. Our new VP of Digital came from the WWE. This man standing right here was one of the top executives at the WWE, and now he's in charge of all of this kind of stuff. His name's Chris Kaiser. Make sure, Kaiser, standing right there. Yeah, I'm going to embarrass you. And the thing is that I say this all the time, there's hashtag levels to this game. And production has got to be top shelf. You can't have fights like that and then not have top shelf production. I had another guy tonight from Yahoo sent me a DM on LinkedIn, and he's the head of production. And all he said was, Coach, I cannot believe how good this production is. And I screenshot it and sent it to our new producer, Zach, in the truck, who came from Fox. And so when you've got guys that are super, super talented, now all of a sudden it makes everything look better. So I'm telling you right now, I told Greg this before I came up here. I spent over a decade in the WWE. I spent over a decade at ESPN. I've never had more fun and felt more valued than I do here at the PFL, and I mean that.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Anybody have anything else?
Yep.
Yeah,
Coach, we got one more over here.
Yeah, sure.
One more from Dylan here at Combat Casuals with some news of another boxing match on the horizon there. Do we have an update on the debut of Jake Paul in the PFL?
Well, I think Jake Paul is busy with Julio Cesar Chavez, I think it was. I think he opened as a minus 1,200 favorite. Obviously, we love Jake Paul here at the PFL. But the one thing I don't get into is pie in the sky. And until he wants to address it, and he wants to truly do an MMA, and I think he's talked about doing like a 2 out of 3 thing where he does a boxing and that. But right now, we're focused on the tournament. We're focused on the Champion Series. We've got a lot of fighters like Johnny Evelyn and Dakota that they deserve our attention. And they've been on the sidelines. They've been waiting. They get the news today. So that's our focus. It's certainly not Jake Paul.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else? Are we good?
All good, guys?